quite frankly, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of defending you, defending your administration, defending the mantle of change that I voted for.
Can you hear us now?
They're ready for new people to come who really understand what we the people want from our government.
There's a tidal wave coming to Delaware. It's here. And the Republican Party of Delaware is riding it.
When the Democratic Party, from President down, was on the wrong side of Pennsylvania, I stood up and bucked that party, and I'll do it again.
Iowa and all across the great U.S., we have some great common sense conservatives who are putting it all on the line.
The two-term Alaska senator isn't giving up her seat without a fight.
To hell with politics. Let's do what's right for Alaska. Let's win!
This really is a race that now has become not Joe Miller against one liberal, but Joe Miller against two liberals.
The time for primary debate is over. The time for unity now. That's the time upon us because the time for choosing is near.
And with just 42 days remaining until November's midterm elections, all eyes are on Delaware's Christine O'Donnell. She has been the subject of all the Democratic attacks since she clinched the GOP primary last week. And given the tenor of this election, I think that's actually a badge of honor. And joining me now is the woman the Democrats love to hate, GOP Senate nominee Christine O'Donnell. Well, one of them. I mean, Michelle Bachmann's up there and Sarah Palin's up there. Christine, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for. There's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
A lot has happened. Let's start with Mike Castle, your opponent. He had promised he would support the eventual nominee. Last time we spoke, he had not called you. He's since called you.
Right. We spoke on Friday, and he congratulated me. It was a very friendly conversation, and I'm hoping to get his endorsement. It would mean a lot.
Well, he said he would. It seems to be, if you look at Lisa Murkowski and a lot of other races, Charlie Crist is an example, I'm almost calling it the sore loser syndrome. What is your take on it?
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's only a week since Election Day. Let's give him some time, and hopefully he'll come around, because we need to unite the party, especially here in Delaware. We need to unite the party in order to move forward, and I'm still holding out for hope.
All right. We'll get to more of the establishment Tea Party stuff in just a second here. Bill Maher. A friend of yours, obviously. You did a show a lot, apparently.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, he comes up with this tape. What was it, 1999? You made an appearance.
Yes.
Talking, I guess, about a boyfriend when you were a teenager?
Right.
Okay. Saying that you had dabbled into witchcraft. Well, why don't you explain for people that maybe, what was that about?
Well, teenage rebellion. You know, some people dabble in drugs to rebel. That's how I rebelled. You know, but who didn't do some questionable things in high school, and who doesn't regret the 80s to some extent? I certainly do, and I most certainly regret bringing it up to Bill Maher.
All right, but he's promising, I guess, to keep bringing out old tapes, and other people promising to dredge up old comments that you made. What is your reaction to that?
Well, it's not a promise, it's a threat. And, let him. Because, my focus is on what's important to the people of Delaware. And if he wants to do this, side nonsense, let him. I'm going to focus on letting the people of Delaware know what I want to do to get jobs back in Delaware, to reduce the size of government, to make our homeland strong once again. We've got serious issues facing our country right now, and this type of stuff is a diversion, and I want to get back on message. There's a stark contrast between my opponent and me. He's called Harry Reid's pet, And
I heard that.
That's Harry Reid's word. I'm not, mudslinging here. And you kind of have to wonder what sort of strange conversations went on to lead to Harry Reid calling him his pet.
Well, there seems a lot of issues, and one of the things I've noticed is that there is, in this campaign, I don't hear any Democrats running on health care.
That's right.
Running on the stimulus, their support for Obama, Reid, and Pelosi. So what are we to make of the attacks against you?
Well, watch this. Watch how this campaign unfolds. They started their ads this week, and they're attacking me personally. They're not attacking where I stand on stimulus. They're not attacking where I stand on extending, if not making permanent, the Bush tax cuts. They're not attacking me because I want to permanently eliminate the death tax or propose a 2-year temporary tax holiday on the capital gains tax in order to get the economy back on track. They're not attacking me on my positions. They're trying to attack me, which is why I'm getting out there and to the people of Delaware, why I canceled the Sunday shows when churches invited me to attend their services, and People in Delaware invited me to go to their picnics because this race is about what's important to the people of Delaware. And what's important to the people of Delaware are how we're going to get jobs back, how we're going to reduce the size of government, and they're worried about the tax hikes that are coming in January. My opponent is wrong on all of these issues.
Let me give you, for example, you're talking about a tax. Let's show the Democratic, the party has released this ad about you. Let's roll the tape.
We don't know a lot about Christine O'Donnell, but here's what we do know. She'll fit right in Washington. O'Donnell spends money she doesn't have. Hired employees she didn't pay. Stiffed businesses, didn't pay her taxes.
All right. First of all, your reaction. We'll get to the specifics.
Oh, it's a shame because, again, you know, they're taking a play from my opponent's book that don't go after her on the issues because she's right on the issues. But specifically that comment on the taxes, there's no truth in that. I've paid my taxes. They're trying to go after an erroneous tax lien that the IRS admitted was a computer error. As soon as we brought it to their attention.
The IRS filed a lien in 2010 saying that you owed $11,000 in back taxes and penalties from 2005.
Right.
Do you have a letter from the IRS?
Yep. I was being audited, and I have a letter saying that in the beginning of March, we're going to clear up this audit and give you a clean bill of health, finalize this thing. But instead of the finalizing letter, I got an erroneous tax lien. Well, of course, I immediately called the appeals office. I immediately called the IRS. They went, oops, it's a computer error, and they worked very quickly to remove it. I posted all that on my website, but my opponents don't care about the truth.
What about the issue of 2008 default on a mortgage and a home in Wilmington that you had?
I fell behind in my mortgage. I had a pro bono client that to me was very important. I worked 18 hours a day. It was a disabled woman who the courts ruled to remove her feeding tube. So it was truly a life or death case. And when her father came to me, he said, I can't pay you, but will you help me save her life? And you can't say no to that. So I worked several months for free. I fell behind in my mortgage. And then I had this opportunity to become the nominee in 2008 to run against Joe Biden. I had to make a very difficult decision. Either take on another client and get caught up in my bills, but instead, because I thought it was very important that someone opposed Joe Biden and what he wanted to do in the U.S. Senate, I sold my house to make all my bills right. I paid off all of my debt, got caught up, and made it through a difficult time.
So is there any truth that I've heard people say you don't have a job, that you haven't had a job, there's a complaint that you took $20,000 from the campaign. Are any of these issues accurate?
No, none of them are accurate, and I'll tell you where they all came from. But again, I just want to point out, look at what they're going after me for. Again, they're not saying she wants to eliminate the death tax. They're not saying she's going to fight to lower our taxes or to extend the Bush tax cuts or to make sure the economy gets back on track through the private business, not through more spending. They're not saying she wants to stop the irresponsible spending in Washington. They're trying to attack me personally. But I take nonprofit clients. I do freelance work, and when you're running for a campaign, you can't have a multi-client load. You just can't offer them the sort of service. I have one client right now that I'm very proud of. I work part-time for him. I wouldn't be a good PR person if I didn't plug his website, paulmatthewwhittle.com, a great artist who just donated a statue worth $50,000 to a local church. These are the kind of clients that I take on, and in this economy, nonprofit are the first ones hit.
We got to take a break. We're going to come back. There's plenty more with Christine O'Donnell coming up straight ahead. But first, it is time for our Tuesday text voting in light of the recent attack on Christine O'Donnell and the continuous attacks on Sarah Palin. We want to know if you think Republican women are treated differently than Democratic women. You can text us at 36288. Type H1 for yes, H2 for no, H3 if you're not sure. We have the results coming up at the end of the show.